to envy the dead. The final war is over. Its architects forever entombed in melted glass and steel. I watched the efforts of our species dance away on the radioactive wind. Civilization retreated by millennia. All of human history brought to dust. Our cities, now scorched black mausoleums, serve as a reminder. There can be no victory in war. Earth is the answer to the question of our mortality. With resolute defiance, we choose to grasp at the delicate thread of life. My son, the gift of survival is yours. Please, may you never submit. There will be more.
This is it. We are on our own. The air is clear. Welcome home. We're headed straight for oblivion, but we're gonna make it. Whatever it takes. I just wanna be with you. Lost love for revelations. Heavy rain to the sun. Look up and watch it.
Herzlich willkommen zurück auf Schalke America. I'm your host, Richard Carmen. I almost said Jack Megan, but my co-host is joining me, Jack Megan. How we doing?
Better than you, apparently. How you doing, sir?
I'm all right. I was better until about 5 minutes ago, but maybe it's a little bit of this Baltimore Blonde I'm drinking here from Guinness. How are you, my friend?
Doing okay. Interesting match this past weekend and interesting fallout as well. So looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah. Glukov, Eric, Glukov, Anthony. Anthony says it certainly looked like Milan's season will be contingent upon whether or not they play Coppa Italia. This is true. And Schalke's season could be contingent on a few things after this weekend, which we'll get into. A little rundown for tonight. Where we're going to get to is we're going to talk the match, obviously. Got some interesting matches, to say the least. After that, we are going to talk a little press conference reaction because our boy Kees, he was saying some things that I don't think the brass were too happy about. And we will get to what the Schalke club has to react to what Kees Van Wonderen had to say. After that, we'll talk about a little Keenan Karaman because of his actions in the game. And then talk a little bit Hamburg fans, and we'll end with a Schalke Frauen update. But a lot to get into tonight, so let's just get into it. Let's start with the Hamburg match, and it's in particular before the match. Their manager, Merlin Polzin, he was chirping. He basically said, it's fun to win at Schalke. It's a big club in Germany, and that's why we're really looking forward to the game. We also know that the Hamburg fans will be there again, and that motivates us to give our all again. So he decided to chirp before the game, and we at least historically know what happens when teams chirp at Schalke because Keenan Karaman gets fired up, sometimes too much. But we knew that I felt like an epic speech was coming before the game. What were your thoughts when you heard that their coach had to say something before the game?
I actually hadn't seen that before the game started, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. There was obviously a famous case just earlier this season, and then some footage of Karaman's reaction to that before the match got released, and that was I believe that was part of that run that we put together right before the midpoint of the season where we rattle off some wins against some stiff opposition. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if those comments had a similar galvanizing effect before this one.
Yeah, that was before the Paderborn match, and I think even another team said it also in between, but the Paderborn was the real catalyst, I think, for that whole kickoff to end of the second half of the season. So yeah, those comments happened, and then obviously the game lineups were announced, and here are the lineups for first the road team. This is probably one of the most talented teams in this Zweite Liga. You got Jean-Luc Dompe, who's leading assist man in the league. Koningsdorfer, who's been a thorn in our side, but everybody's side. He's got 12 goals on the year. Sahidi, you got Rice, Meffert, and Farai, who all talented midfielders with Hefti, Al-Fadli, Hadzkadanovic, and Mikael Brentzis. Hoyer Fernandez, as always, in goal for them. Two big names, though, they're all left off, which were surprising to me. Maybe not so much Robert Glatzel, but David Selke, who leads the league in goals with 19. Not in the starting lineup, and Glatzel also not in the starting lineup. So Hamburg, after their 4-2 defeat at home to Braunschweig last week, decided to change things up, I guess. And it was beyond me why Selke didn't start this game. And could you make any ends on why he didn't start in this game?
No, but I mean, it shows you the talent that's in the the team. Regardless, obviously, Koningsdorfer's a name that we've been aware of for several seasons now. He's kind of been slowly coming up, and I mean, yeah, Selke is obviously leading the league in scoring, but Koningsdorfer's in double-digit figures himself this season, so certainly a threat up there regardless. And somebody that will pop up in different areas around the pitch as well, pretty mobile, and can give you different looks. And then, as you said, Dompe on the left side, not only scoring goals but assists as well. Close to double-digit figures, I think, in both of those categories. Maybe not quite there in the goal scoring, but super dangerous, and other good players, are on the pitch as well. So, yeah, it was a tall task coming into this one, and then the way things developed early was got a little bit tougher. But on the Schalke side of things, just wanted to mention, isn't it amazing how much better Aydin looks the second he has Bullet playing behind him at right back? Right,
absolutely better than Gentheim, right? Gentheim, right? Yeah. Well, I'll have a lot of comments about Aydin in this game. He would be in the starting 11. We were curious what the starting 11 would be like. Heckeren back in goal after the heavily criticized game against Regensburg. Thailand Bullet back in our lives, thankfully, with Schallenberg, Kaminsky, and Merkin in the back. You have Seguin and Max Kruger getting the start in this one with Aiden, Karaman, and Toby Moore on the left-hand side with Musa Silla leading the line. Obviously, you mentioned Aiden in the lineup with Bullet. That would have been favorable for him. Seeing Max Kruger in the lineup was a nice change, I think. And then Toby Moore, I was optimistic that he would provide some spark after we hadn't had really a spark in the last couple of weeks. But thoughts on the starting 11 before the game?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously some players in here that or players that are not in the starting lineup that you wouldn't be upset if they were included in terms of the performance of the season. There's various people you can mention from Bachman to Maisapai, who just purchased Eunice, other people. Yeah, I think looking at that, I think it's a pretty strong starting 11 relative to what we have possible. Certainly, that's a better back line than we've had at some points recently, in recent weeks. Like finally getting healthy in that sense. Seguin, when he's at his best at the base of midfield, is always going to be doing nice things. And I agree with you. I like seeing Gruber back in the lineup. Toby Moore, if nothing else, will do something with his left foot at some point during the game, and had multiple instances of that. And then Karaman and Silla you're never going to be upset with, and Aiden situationally can put in a good shift, and this was one of those ones. I mean, I guess we'll hear what you have to say about him overall, I guess, on the basis of his total shift. But once again, with somebody solid at right back behind him, freeing him to have a little bit less defensive responsibility and to be able to do more going forward, I think that's where we usually have seen the best out of him in recent performances.
Yeah, I agree about all of that. And I knew, if nothing else, that the team would have had to reacted after that Regensburg match. And I talked about how on the stream on Friday, how that game was a fireable offense really for Kees Van Wonderen. It's it seemed that he has lost his team, like him and Karaman had lost the team. And then everything was down in doom and gloom. Polzin decided to run his mouth and kind of gave us some life that we weren't expecting. I wasn't expecting. And when I heard he made those comments right after in his press conference, I should say, I knew there was going to be a good reaction from the club, because they don't like getting, made fun of. And Karaman, I'm sure Karaman and Van Wonderen would lead the way in that regards. But it seemed like in this instance, Keenan Karaman was a little too fired up. And within second minute of the game, he goes in hard against Meffert. At first, when you're watching, you're like, okay, it's a bad foul, silly foul, easily yellow. And they're taking their time, and they're like, okay, what's going on here? And then you see the replay, and you're like, crap, that's going to be a red card, no doubt about it. Sure enough, VAR gets involved, and it's a red card, Jack. And I can't fault the referee or VAR. That's a clear red. He could have injured Meffert. I mean, that's my opinion. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. When I watched it live, before you saw any of the replays up close, it looked like probably a yellow, and probably just kind of a silly early yellow. But when you saw the replay of it, he caught him on the ankle pretty directly. Could have obviously been a bad result to that, and so you can't blame them for going and ultimately calling a red card. And I think, honestly, looking back on it, I think Karaman kind of knew, because even though the ref didn't immediately give him really anything, didn't really call anything at all, after Karaman got up, he was immediately going over and talking to the ref. Yeah. Like pretty intently. So you think he kind of knew that he had done something and was kind of like, hey, by the way, really sorry about that. Like, didn't mean to really tackle him like that. And then, it just, but unfortunately it kind of got out of our control over the course of the next minute or so as VAR started looking at it. So, about the worst possible start imaginable. Not only, your captain, but as we talked about just a moment ago, somebody that usually is helping to galvanize the team in big matches and provide sort of that leadership, but also somebody that can impact the score sheet as much as anybody else in the squad over the past couple seasons. So huge loss. And then, of course, it's also happening very early in the match, not in the 60th minute or the 70th minute. So now you're looking at almost a full 90 minutes down a man. Yeah. It just immediately handicaps you and limits what you think you can be capable of, if for no other reason than fatigue by some point in the second half.
And the crazy thing is, out of any team in a Zweite Liga, whether we're up a man or down a man, we are the worst team in the league in that regards, because we don't do anything. If we're down to 10 men, we just get blown out. If we're up a man, we get blown out somehow, it seems like. So I felt everything was negative in that regards. But it's funny because in the preview of the game, Schalke put out this statistic thing where they're like trying to compare the two teams. And one of the things I said, like, oh, both teams like to play possession, so it should be a fairly even game. And I'm like, no, in my opinion, if Schalke's going to win this game, they're going to have to do like they did in the first game, where you kind of cede possession, let them have a lot of possession, and then try to hit him on a counterattack because, you know, we're pretty good in the box. Little did I know that Karaman was going to get a red card and that possession would be in that favor for Hamburg, you know, unbeknownst to us. But I think this is, well, we'll get into how the game was, but it ended up being a blessing in disguise because I don't know, 11 versus 11, we would have been this good, but maybe we would have, just how the team played out. But it started off quick, and we got immediate glimpses of how we would play with 10 men. In the 8th minute, Seguin, there's a foul in our own end. Seguin heads up, there's a cross play all the way to Toby Moore. Toby Moore one touches the ball back into the box, squares it across the Silla, who gets a shot off, and Hoyer Fernando saves it. It would have been the offsides, I think, but they didn't call it because he makes a save. It goes into a corner kick, and they kept playing on. So, I mean, had he scored, maybe, I mean, I imagine they would have turned it over if it was a goal, but what a great play.
I mean, yeah, it's entirely possible they would have looked at it more closely if it had gone in, but you think they would have, because, I mean, if we had scored off the corner kick, that would have been just as, you know, just as unfair in terms of that chance coming about that way. But, yeah, I mean, the larger point you're making, it's a great left-footed touch by Toby Moore immediately, you know, and you like the initiative. You like we're going for that and looking to go for that right off the bat, you know, diagonal ball over the top of the line, like trying to sneak in behind and get something cheap, you know, within the first couple minutes of going down a man. From Silla's perspective, yeah, I mean, look, his second half form has not been his first half form of the season, like whatsoever. And in my opinion, that was a pretty bad miss.
Basically at the keeper.
He basically kicked it directly at the goalkeeper's leg, and if that's anywhere else, it's a goal. And you know, when you're spending $2.5 million on the guy, I think that's the kind of finish you're expecting him to make. But still love that the chance was created, you know, that early in the game.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Change a little flavor here of the music while we're talking. Yeah, no, I thought it was excellent play all the way around. Like I said, could have been a better finish, but, you know, it didn't go in. It probably would have been called back anyway, so it worked out. It just looked aesthetically beautiful. And then my big question coming to the game, especially after the Regensburg match, because I talked about this on the stream, how, like, we've been through this before with the goaltenders where we unnecessarily create chaos and it affects our goalkeepers massively. And the last time that was really this big was, you know, Fairman and Nubel back in the day. And so we had that with Loris Karius and Heckering getting dropped. Then he's forced to come back in, then has an absolute stinker against Regensburg. And then questions are wondering, bring in Langer, bring in anybody. Like, it doesn't matter. Just don't start Heckering. So how would Heckering react to that? Van Wonderen had some good words after the game saying, like, look, he is our guy. I have 100% faith in him. And it seemed to have worked because Heckern had himself a hell of a game in this one. I mean, from the beginning of the game, I think 14th minute, or not the 14th minute, it was 11th minute, Hefty, who's a left back, comes up and gets a great shot off. It's a nice 1-2 touch pass by Hamburg. He gets a touch off, and big Heckern gets up big and makes this nice save in 11th minute. Little do we know that was going to, shortly after, we were going to pay off on that, but nice to see the keeper getting nice and big. And as I mentioned, minutes later, Aiden, one of the guys you talked about here in the beginning, I thought his hustle today was excellent, right? We get glimpses of this every now and then, and this is why the fans love him, because he gets down the right-hand flank, takes on two guys, and just out-hustles both of them, and eventually gets fouled. That foul leads to a left-footed Toby Moore free kick, and Schallenberg puts it past Hoyer Fernandez, 1-0, down a man. Who would have thought? Who would have thought, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty delicious angle for the free kick. You could tell that, you know, Seguin and Toby liked it immediately. It's over kind of on the side of the box, and Schallenberg just kind of stepped in front of his man and came short, and it was hit relatively low with some whip kind of right to that front part of, you know, the whole group of players. And, you know, clearly either looking to miss everybody entirely or maybe get flicked on, and Schallenberg flicks it on, and 1-0 just like that. So, yeah, love the response. Good stuff down by Aiden down the right-hand side. Yeah, I just liked the approach, and I liked the response to the red card. Became right after it. I think Hamburg had a pretty slow start to this game even before the red card. And getting the red card didn't encourage them to go into attack mode, it seemed like, at all. So I felt like they were still pretty slow. And it wasn't until after this first goal that the tempo of passing started to get ratcheted up on their side, and so they started moving it around a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Karaman pretty much, you know, nightmare start, and this is about the dream response on the back of that. Like, did not expect to go up in the lead in this one.
Not at all. And thrill. I think thrill is like an understatement for all of us. I think, and then speaking of thrilled, you kind of mentioned it also. Like, I then happy to have Bullet behind him at right back, because we know the comparison between him and Gantenbeim, and it was nice to see because Bullet obviously is better defender than Gantenbeim, and the defender or the attacker they would have to go against is Jean-Luc Dompe, who's one of the best assistmen in the league, or the best assistman in the league, creative player. And Bullet was up for the challenge. You saw many times throughout the game going 1-on-1 against Dompe, stopping him. And at one point in the first half, he makes a 1-on-1 tackle against Dompe and sticks his tongue out like, "Yeah, man, I'm up for this." I love seeing that. And the fans were cheering crazy for both Aiden and Bullet, especially in the first half, but throughout the game. I thought, love seeing Bullet challenge guys, especially a guy who, or hopefully we keep, but you never know. But youngster up for the challenge. Love seeing it, Jack.
Yeah, no, I mean, to not have the moment be too big. I mean, it's a home game in front of the expectant Felton's faithful. You have a big club, famous club coming in, an opponent, and like you said, one of the premier wingers in the league, kind of going at you time and time again, and for him to have to rise to the occasion and be excited by that challenge as opposed to playing nervously is great to see, and probably another indicator of why he's not going to be long for this squad. I think there's going to be other people that are going to look at some of those qualities in addition to his general ability and steal him away from us pretty shortly. But yeah, love to see that from him. And look, yeah, I mean, the Aiden thing, he's had plenty of games with Bullet behind him where he's not particularly great either. But yeah, I agree with you in the sense that, like, when he has that defensive stability, he seems to be able to get more out of him on the offensive side. He's still not like an ideal right winger by any stretch of the imagination. Like, we could easily upgrade over him and play somebody who is legitimately skilled there. But it does seem when he is in those positions, a couple times a game, he will do something a little bit more creative than we're getting out of, I think, Gantenbein or somebody else on that side, where he will open up something or contribute to, a goal scoring opportunity, a corner kick, whatever else. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was good to see that team continued off that first goal and those challenges by the right wingers, and kept it out through the first half. In the 31st minute, another play where the ball comes into the box. Merkin is there. He gets a header just over the bar, so we're still trying to attack the goal, which is great to see with 10 men. Again, we had to see more of Hecker in the 32nd minute, where Rice got a nice shot against Hecker, and Hecker made a big save again. And then you started feeling that, yes, Schalke was playing better. This is the best that he looked all season, and with 10 men. But you started feeling Hamburg were starting to slowly get in the game. More and more opportunities are coming. In the 38th minute, Dompe fed Koningsdorfer, and again, Hecker makes another great save. I mean, Hecker probably had 3-4 big saves in that first half alone. Again, in the 40th minute against Koningsdorfer. And finally, the dam broke in the 41st minute. Like, it was just wave after wave at this point. Dompe backdoor pass finds Sahidi. Point blank, nothing really Hecker could have done in that play. I think Dompe just marvelous pass. I don't think Hecker or anybody was expecting that to be pinpoint accuracy there, and 1-0 just like that. Oh wait, no, excuse me. Yeah, right.
Well, there was two very similar goals in a short period of time at the end of the first half. For
Sahidi.
Hamburg, but yeah, I mean, like you said, most of the first half I thought things were okay. They definitely started coming into it towards the last 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's the guy you mentioned, obviously providing yet another, I think, assist back post.
Yeah.
On the first one. The first one was more kind of in the air, and I don't think it was actually played back post necessarily. I think it may have been like intended for somebody central and it fell over, but not marking the back post.
I think Farai was probably the guy intended, probably.
Yeah. It gets tapped over, and then just a couple minutes later, almost an identical goal. Same kind of thing.
And that's the crazy thing too, is like, okay, they scored a goal, but it's 1-1 at this point. Literally off the kickoff, we lose the ball, and then they bring it back down immediately. And Koningsdorfer finds Sahidi. Koningsdorfer comes down, streaking down the left-hand side, and just crosses it through the middle, like way out of reach of Justin Heckerin. Sahidi again scores the goal, and it's 2-1 in like a matter of seconds. It's like, okay, what the hell? We had a great first half, great reaction to being down 10 men, and they get 2 goals before halftime. You're like, oh, come on, man, what the hell?
I mean, honestly, it's amazing that we didn't go on to just collapse after this, given how fragile we've been at times. I mean, it was a great response to begin with, and then, to put in the shift that we did in the first 45, but then go into the locker room down 2-1 has got to be pretty demoralizing. So, props for hanging in there and weathering the storm in the second half, because the second half I think it was a lot more lopsided for most of it too, in terms of possession and chances and whatnot. So
Yeah,
much more open game in the second half.
it certainly was. I think what that was the thing in the second half. It did feel so wide open. I think Hamburg had a lot of chances that Häkkinen made some great saves on, as well as going the other end, Hoyer Fernandez making some saves. There was a play where I don't remember what part of the game it was. Well, it's at the end of the game, but before our goal, eventually they started bringing in bodies because they wanted to get the win, right? And they brought in Glatzel, they brought in Selke, started bringing a bunch of other playmakers off the bench. And you're like, okay, they're trying to put this game out of its misery, but it wasn't. That goal wasn't coming for them, and I thought they had it. It was it was like 72nd minute or something like that. Ball goes over the top. It's going for David Selke. David Selke heads it, and Häkkinen makes a great save. Nick hits it off the crossbar and stays out. It would have been offsides because it was offsides, but great reaction by Häkkinen. It was just encapsulated how the game was for him, because his reactions were great. His positioning was great. A huge bounce back performance by Häkkinen in this game, I thought. And eventually, I think the team just kept feeding off these saves by Häkkinen, and eventually, in the 82nd minute or something like that, we get an opportunity where kind of like a counterattack ensues, and this is right after like a big shot by Karabech, right into the arms of Justin Häkkinen, but he quickly plays the ball out, and they finally get the ball to Toby Moore on the left hand side again, and swings the ball over the top. Gantenbeim, who got something to the game maybe 10 minutes before that, heads it across the crease, and Silla out jumps his guy, puts in the top corner, and Toby Moore, hockey assist, 2-2 at that point. Crazy. Nobody would have thought that. I mean, little one goal, we got 2 goals down to 10 men. Yep. Crazy.
Yeah, and both of them headers inside the box. So, I mean, there you go. I mean, not a set piece on the second one, but
no.
Stick with it. I mean, on the Häkkinen thing, real quick. I mean, I don't know if goalkeepers think about these kind of things either, but the fact that it was Selke too, of all people, at the end. So it's like it's the league leader, big name player, and not only is it a great reaction save, it's against a person of that stature. Hopefully that does something for the psychology. But hey, stick with it. Silla, I'm critical of him in the first half for the easier chance, but he converts the more difficult one, and was able to get a result. And hey, pretty incredible overall to go down once again. Second, third minute through that Karaman red card, still concede 2 goals and then find a way to pull that back is impressive. You wish we had full complement from the beginning, because maybe we'd be able to get 3 points out of this. But I think we'll take that given the circumstances.
Yeah, and I thought we had 1-2 because in the 90th minute, ball goes into the box and Hoyer Fernandez makes a silly error where he punches the ball the wrong way. It falls to Emil Hoyland, and Emil Hoyland nearly puts it away. He just misses it wide. To counter that, El Fadli, center back, had an opportunity that Häkkinen stopped as well. But game ends 2-2. Share the spoils. It appears as Hamburg is collapsing again at the end of the year. Lost to Braunschweig. They drew us. Yeah, they got the remaining games are all in the bottom half of the table. But who's to say they're not going to choke again? It was just one of those games, and I don't want to laugh at them too much, because I think we deserve a lot of credit for the way we played. I mean, that red card is at the worst time of the game, happened in the beginning. I guess it's the worst time, but 90 minutes essentially you're playing with 10 men, and the response by this team, whether it was Karaman or Van Wonderen or the team collectively, what a fantastic way to attack Hamburg in the game. Yeah, they didn't have the possession, but they countered them perfectly. They did great. It was timely attacks, and the recipe was a success, I think. It was a moral victory.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, frustrating at this point, because I think, we've now reached the point of the season where we kind of understand where we're going to finish in the table. We've been out of, obviously, promotion conversation for quite a while, but there was at least a period of time where we thought if we could string some consistency together, we could climb the table, maybe finish in a little bit more, complimentary of a spot. But we're still kind of languishing in the bottom half at the moment, and it's been the same thing we've been talking about recently. It's just there's no ability to rattle off any sort of consistent results basically since that run of form at the end of the first half of the season. I mean, the last 6 games now, the last 5 games, it's loss, draw, win, loss, draw. I mean, it's like every game it's like something different. We can't rattle off anything. So yeah, I mean, whether or not Hamburg is dipping at the end of the season, I couldn't care less. I'm not rooting for them. I mean, Would it be nice if they got back to the Bundesliga? Sure, I guess. Okay. I have no love in my heart for Hamburg particularly, so more concerned about us and our future. But hopefully we can finish up strong and I don't know. I think it kind of takes us into potentially our next topic in terms of Kees Van Wonderen, like what we've been building for, now going into the offseason.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about there. I do want to give the players some love though, because I think this is a great result by them. Looking at the starting 11, really, if you start from the front to back, still like I agree with you. I think first half was wasn't as great as he could have been, but he responded well with the game tying goal. Good by him. Toby Moore, I thought was excellent in this game. Hockey assist in this game. Karaman obviously got a red card. So we're not talking about him, but Iden, excellent, strong performance by him. This is the kind of performance that Schalke fans love him for. Like I said before, I thought great hustle, both offensively and defensively. Good passing all the way around. I thought Gruger was solid, okay in the first half. That's all he played. He got subbed out. Seguin, I thought was great. I thought he was really shifty with the ball. Good, clever passes. Merkin was good. Kaminsky, Bullet, and Schallenberg. I thought Bullet was strong. Welcomed the challenge against Dompe, but I think Schallenberg, to Anthony's comment earlier, had a really great game as well. And then Justin Heckern was fantastic. So what are your thoughts on the players?
No, I think I'd agree with most of that. I think probably Toby Moore and Heckern are probably the standout performances. For me, I think decent shifts from Aydin and Gruger and Seguin a little bit. I think in games like this, Seguin has a little bit more difficulty making an impact because I think he needs a little bit more space to kind of operate in. When we're so condensed and on the back foot constantly, I think it's a little bit tougher. Bullet, I think, probably had like a better first half than the second half overall. But things just got open and kind of out of control in the second half too. But I mean, Schallenberg, he doesn't have as many performances as you would like where he was this competent.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see him like that because, I mean, I think there was certain periods of the game where you're actually kind of looking at him and feeling a sense of confidence in what he's doing out there. And there's other times where it just looks he's out of position more. So I don't know why we have such a difficult time getting consistent performances from some of our center backs, whether it's him or Kalash or whoever. But it's certainly nice when we have a decent one. And Kaminsky was fine today. Nothing special, but wasn't the worst we've seen him by any stretch. So yeah, decent.
100%. My 4 takeaways from the game. Keenan Carmen obviously gets a red poor performance because he only played 2 minutes, not even 3 minutes. It's 2 minutes, a minute and 12 seconds. Obviously gets a red card there, but Mehmet Aydin, I want to give him a shout out. Going to give him, a green rating, good rating. I thought he was a good game. And Toby Moore, like you mentioned, he 1A in terms of best players on the field. For me, with Justin Heckern, I guess a gold star for me, but like Toby's right there. I think both of them were big key reasons why we drew 2-2 in this game. So, but let's get to the reaction that everyone's talking about, and that is Kees Van Wonderen. So after the game, they do the natural press conferences and stuff like that. But what he said after the press conference has got everybody scratching their heads now, and it's disappointing as Kees Van Wonderen criticizes club management. Wait, what? So he had some comments after the game, and this is from Robin Haak from Vaz and Eric Asmussen. I want to give them credit. With some of the comments he made in the game, or after the game, I should say, he goes, I have to enjoy the games that are still to come. But for me, all the signs are there that I won't be there after the season. Because when you're on the same path, you communicate more and better. So he's criticizing the commentary or the lack of commentary communication by the Schalke brass. He goes, but only if we were on the same page, not everything has to be perfect, but you have to stick to the path, not to go left after a few games and right again. That's not possible. That it's better for someone else to do it. Which is, some hefty words there. Then he says, someone asked him, are you talking about, Matthias Tillman? And he's like, look, looking back at the Regensburg game, normally Tillman would come and stand next to me and say, hey, that happens sometimes. We're moving forward because our path is clear. Instead, I heard nothing from him. He goes, and behind the scenes, people are saying and they're hinting that there are doubts. And when I find that, it's disappointing. It's not good. It's a shame. So essentially, he's like, look, I want to be here with all my love and hard work. I can also handle criticism, but if you have doubts, you might as well hire someone else. And he goes, if not, it's not good for anyone, but it's certainly not for the club. And so essentially, he's saying, I am done after the end of the season. And first of all, when you hear those, he made those comments, that shocked me that he would say that after a draw. If he said that after Regensburg, I would have maybe understood it more. But he said that right after a euphoric moment like drawing 2-2 against Hamburg, considering the situations. What were your thoughts when you first heard about this happening from Van Wonderen?
This is like the second or third time in the last like 6 weeks maybe where I feel like he's just been kind of like crashing out in the media for no reason.
Yeah, you brought it up a couple weeks ago too.
Like completely unprovoked. I felt like Gerards was much more the focus and the center of attention as it pertained to the club's like peaks and valleys and form than Van Wonderen has. He's been a little bit more like low key, and there hasn't been that much like I've noticed. Like I don't think I've noticed that much like focused derision about him, and he seems insistent upon like creating controversy for himself.
Yeah, and
like causing issues. And if you would just shut up and like get results, like you might stick around and you might be fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, but like, the content of what he said. I mean, look, if he feels unsupported when things are going poorly, okay, that's, I guess, something fair you could say. If you get whipped by Jans Regenberg, I don't think you deserve to get support. Like, I mean, you shouldn't feel bad about that. Like, I mean, look, if I was Tillman in that situation and they lost to Jans Regenberg, like, I would probably be silent and let you kind of feel that one too for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's normal. I think he needs a little bit of a thicker skin. And then secondarily, like, he's shooting himself in the foot. Like he keeps talking about, like, oh, I really want to be here. If you want to be here, you wouldn't talk about, like, well, I guess I'm not going to be here anymore. And, like, I don't feel support. Like, I don't really believe that he wants to be here. I think he's, like, trying to maybe create some sort of narrative where, like, he can step away without the club feeling like he's abandoning it or something like that, which, like, I don't think anyone would. He's only been here for half a season anyway, so it's not like he's some sort of, like, long tenured person that we're afraid to lose. I don't know. It's a weird. It's a really. I can't get a read on this guy at all.
I know.
What are your thoughts? I'm gonna stop talking now. But, like, yeah, just really strange.
It is super strange, and I was thinking about something when you were talking. Like, last game, I said, you know, after Jan Regensburg, and this is from the Friday stream, I said, like, look, maybe he's feeling the pressure with this whole Baumann thing, and Baumann has not really revealed anything too much about what his plans are. Like, he hasn't really given us a mission statement yet, and maybe Baumann hasn't really showed him that, hey, I'm with you for next season. You're my guy for next season. Maybe that's in the back of his head. That kind of resulted in the Regensburg game, where the horrible game after that. And I just felt like, look, this is the terrible time to kind of blow up, because you got a new boss in there who has no connection with you, and so he can be like, I'm done with you. And then you go and give him more ammo, more fuel for the fire by saying this after a game where you just had a pretty decent result considering the situation. And I'm with you. I don't understand. Like, it's not like Gerards, like you mentioned. Gerards seemed like he was always provoked from the beginning. As soon as Manga got in here, he was constantly provoked and constantly had to defend himself, which took away from the team, which was, I guess, in a way nice. But, like, it seems like he was trying to, like, maybe he's watching old, like, Gerards clips, highlights from their press conferences, and he's trying to, like, add to that or bring it to himself, and live vicariously through Gerards. But, like, it was like you said, it's unnecessary what he was saying. Like, why this answer the questions you were asked. And a couple of times they asked him about certain things, but, like, not like this. And he's, like, bringing up information that unnecessary.
You feel like they're like, you know, how pleased are you with, you know, the mentality of your players today? And he's like,
it sucks.
Yeah, you know, I just really don't think they want me to be here. And it's like what are you talking about? Like, I don't know. It's just so odd. So the fact that this was the talking point, and one of the main talking points coming out of this weekend, was just, you know, bewildering. But
well,
maybe he's trying to confuse our opponents into I don't know. Maybe it's part of his strategy.
You know who else he's confusing? He's confusing the club, because the club heard about this via WhatsApp, and then they obviously had to have a statement, because, like, hey, your coach has said that he's not going to be there the rest of the season, or at the end of the season he's leaving. So the club came out and said, okay, we got to make comments now on this. So club statement following Van Wonderen says the club management discussed the comments made by Van Wonderen on Saturday in an internal meeting held on Easter Sunday. I'm sure that's how they wanted to have their Easter. Frank Baumann, who will be assumed the role of the board member starting June 1st, was involved. Of course he would. As part of these discussions, there was, of course, direct communication with the head coach.
I love that line, too, because that's what he was criticizing, was that he wasn't included in the discussions. And, like, right at the end of the paragraph, they're like, of course, he was included in the discussions, which is just like...
So the specific details of the talks will remain confidential.
Yeah, it's just
But
funny.
it says, as a matter of principle, we expect all concerns of critical points to be addressed internally. That's where discussion needs to be clear and honest. We must engage in open, constructive dialogue with one another. There you go. But such matters do not belong in the public domain. Really a nothing burger, as someone mentioned on the Discord. But they had to say something. They had to make the emphasis of points, like you just said, like, yeah, we're talking with the head coach. We're having open communication and dialogue, which is what he was criticizing about. It's is all. I don't know if he's going to last the whole season now. I can see it both ways. I can see where they're saying, look, as long as he doesn't have any more blow-ups between now and the end of the year, the team's doing okay, we'll let him be and then let him go at the end of the season. Or if they feel like this is going to affect the team, they're going to be like, you're out of here, put in Hooglin or somebody else. But I don't know, man.
Dude, but it's also so, like, stupid on his part. Like, when he's like, yeah, I just don't really feel like they really want to commit to me. What have you done to get anybody to commit to you? Like, I'm not saying that maybe you're not a great guy behind the scenes and you've somehow created a great atmosphere, whatever else. And like, yeah, the results aren't amazing, but they're not terrible. And, we know that the situation with the club is bad, yada, yada, yada. But like, dude, like the easiest way to resolve all of this is just win some games. And he's acting like, it's so outrageous that they haven't, firmed up my future here yet. Like, dude, you're still in the middle of like your first 6 months, but you haven't really done much of anything. Like, calm down. Like, this is not some sort of like mistreatment on like notable I don't know.
He's acting like he just won 7 games in a row, and the club's waffling about his future. It's like, no, you've won. You're 500. Your club has been 500 since you've been here. And
he's acting like Max Meyer being upset they're doing contract negotiations with Leon Goretzka instead of him.
I'm surprised he didn't throw out like Max Allegri and some of these other world class managers. Like, I'm on par with these guys. Like, what are you guys talking about?
I could walk into the coach's box at any team in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. I could start at Liverpool and Man City and everywhere else. But I don't know, man. So all this is going on. We'll see what's going to happen here. Obviously, some names we know that like guys like Marcus Anfang are on the list of Baumann for next season. If they weren't looking for a manager next year, they certainly are now, because they're guaranteed 0% chance he's going to stay after the summer. The question is now, is he leaving immediately or at the end of the season? We'll find out soon enough what happens with that. But yeah, just a bizarre amount of circumstance that happened after the game, which we should be talking about the game. We're mostly talking about Van Wonderen and the club now, which is unreal. But yeah, it happens, I guess. It happens to the best of us, I guess. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It kind of took away from Karaman's performance, getting that red card so early and putting his team in jeopardy. He did come out with a statement on Instagram. His comment was, look, the red card I got at the start of the game makes me incredibly sad. As someone who deeply feels the importance of this jersey and the responsibility of the captain's role, I should not have made such a mistake. We go into every game with one goal, to win, driven by the will to win and adrenaline. I left my team alone on the field and after an unintentional foul. There are no excuses for that. I know I can't change the result, but I sincerely want to apologize to my teammates and our great fans who support us in all our circumstances. The reaction we showed as a team and fans afterward was incredible. I'm proud of every single one of them. And it's strange to me that this happened. I mean, he was obviously amped up for multiple reasons, right? The Regensburg game. I'm sure the Polzin comments were ramping up as well. And he talked about this with, we talked about inexplicable comments after the Regensburg match. Kees Karaman came out and said, look, I told everybody I want to be here. I love this club, but if we're going to keep losing, I don't want to be here next season. I've told the board that. And then he goes out and gets a red card like this. Is like, were you trying to be like Kees Van Wonderen now and give them a reason to get rid of you? Like, at least I don't think it was as a foolish mistake as Kees Van Wonderen, considering. But like, at least he apologized, and I don't think nobody holds any ill will against him. At least I don't. Do you?
No, not at all. Yeah, look, bad challenge. If anybody has goodwill built up to get over some of those things, it's definitely him of all people. And we wouldn't be anywhere without him the last 2 seasons. So I don't really care that he got a red card in this game. It doesn't really affect my opinion of him at all, obviously. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting end of the season for us. I think we're safe. Mathematically we're not. You would like to think we are. Obviously, I don't anticipate things getting too hairy, but the last 4 games that we have here are all basically top 8 teams for the moment. Yeah, 6, 7, 8 teams. Like, so tough way to finish. including the Hamburg game that we just had, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens the last 4.
Yeah, and to kind of put this game, wrap this game up, there was some other commentary more now on the Hamburg side, and it's what happened during the game. There was a pause during the match because the Hamburg Ultras decided to be fools. Well, let's go ahead and share the video so you can see, but shooting off fireworks, and fireworks going into the family sections of Schalke. It just completely dangerous situation there by the Hamburg fans. It's one thing if it's flares, but these are fireworks. I mean, they were shooting off everywhere. They're going on the field. Players running off the pitch. It went into the crowd. You saw it go into the crowd. Scary, dangerous situation. If Hertha is not like fined for this, I don't know what deserves a fine then. What are your thoughts?
I agree that Hertha should be fined for Hamburg's fans' actions. That would nothing would make me happy if Hertha was somehow punished for that.
Hamburg, they're both.
I fully support it. I would make you judge it anywhere anyway.
Yeah.
No, agreed. Naturally, it calls into question what the security is even like at these games. Obviously, from the I guess American sporting perspective, it seems unlikely that you'd be able to get that quantity of fireworks through security. So I don't know what's going on at the Veltins Arena, but yeah, certainly seemed like a pretty sizable display there.
It did. What a display there, and they stopped the game for several minutes. Well, not only the fireworks stopped, but then they had to clean up the pitch from all the leftovers of the fireworks. So, dangerous situation as far as we know. No one got hurt, but they could have gotten hurt with fireworks. Seriously. So, hopefully they get that under wraps for next time, and Hertha and Hamburg get fined heavily for this. But we'll see. All right, to put a cap on this show, Jack. Schalke Frauen. They played a big semifinal game this weekend. They beat SSV Rade in the semifinals in the penalty kicks to get to the finals. It will be a Revier Derby finals because they will obviously play our cousins. Our cousins and us have been the 2 best teams in the women's division, and now they get to play each other for the cup title. Good to see them make it to the finals and moving on. So. Yeah,
do you know if this is going to be live streamed on YouTube or anything?
It should be. It better be. The bigger games have been, and the Rivier Derbies have been as well. So, I hope it is. We'll retweet it if it is the case, and I'll find out what time the game is. I saw it earlier, but I don't see it right now. But yeah, it better be. It better be. All I can say. But yeah, that's it for me. Next game is against Kaiserslautern. Game is pull up the screen here. Fixtures and results. Here we go. I play Kaiserslautern this Sunday morning, early game, 7:30 my time, 6:30 in Chicagoland. But yeah, Kaiserslautern, again, team that is up there in the table. They are currently 7th in the table.
They are on a little bit of a skid. If there's any of those teams that I mentioned that might be ripe for the taking, it's probably them. But yeah, easier said than done, obviously.
Easier said than done, yeah. Hopefully they are in vacation mode. I mean, realistically, they're 3 points within promotion, so I guess it's feasible. But hopefully, they're on vacation mode at this point, and it'll be easier for us. But nothing's ever easy for us. So yeah. And isn't our manager Marcus Enfang? I think. Anyway, I digress.
I'll tell you this: if you're within 3 points of Magdeburg for a promotion spot and you're on vacation mode, you need to have your head examined.
I agree. Nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed, especially Magdeburg. So, all right, Jack, that's all I got tonight. Anything else you want to touch on before we leave?
Nah, that's all for me.
All right, sounds good to me. Well, Jack, why don't you let people know where you can find you? Because I tried last week and I almost failed. So,
at JMMangan, JMMangan on Twitter.
Wonderful. You can follow me at R_KHARMAN. Make sure you follow us up on YouTube, Twitch, everywhere across social media. Definitely like, subscribe our videos, and share, spread the word, spread it like the gospel. Speaking of gospel, happy Easter, everyone, all around the world. So
what a segue.
All right, we will be back hopefully next month. Well, next Monday for a podcast. I will try to stream Friday or Saturday night. I will guarantee that or confirm that as the week goes on. I'll aim for Friday, but we'll see how it goes. It's been fun doing those. But for Jack and myself, we'll catch you guys soon, and enjoy the week. Glück auf.